Yeah. Well, there is another story that's related to abortion, although it hasn't seemed like it. Tommy Tuberville. I always want to say Tuberville.
Because it's spelled Tuberville, but apparently, he's a hillbill. No, Caitlin. I call them Americans.
Yeah, so he's blocking military promotions over objections to Pentagon policy on abortion access. And
I'll tell you what he's not blocking. UV rays from hitting those giant fucking ears of his. So, did you see that interview? His ears are like tomato satellite dishes. Insane.
Okay.
Get some sunscreen on those things, brother.
Yes, sunscreen's important. And yes, definitely every day, every 2 hours, you got to reapply. And so he was asked during this interview with Caitlin Collins on her new show, The Source on CNN, about his inability to acknowledge that white nationalists are racists. He was very adamant that that is a democratic definition, that white nationalists are not racist.
Clearly something he's given a lot of thought to.
Yeah, I mean, he was viciously defending this, and it wasn't just on her show the next morning. Reporters were approaching him and asking what his views are, and he was reinforcing that that was his view until it started to become a problem for him. And he realized that maybe he needed to start softening a little bit and backing down a little bit. But that isn't before he vouched for his experiences as a football coach.
I'm totally against racism. If the Democrats say that a white nationalist, and we say, so that's the definition, then I'm totally against white nationalists. Okay? Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a different, but I'm not getting into definitions, but I am totally against any form of racism. Okay. Always have been. I was a football coach. I dealt with more minorities than everybody in this building. And so I treated everybody with respect and made sure everybody had a full opportunity.
Those were choice words. I've dealt with, I dealt with cancer last year. That's how you use the word dealt with.
Right.
I've dealt with more minorities, more blacks, or whatever exactly language he used. Fucking yikes. It really tells you what's in his heart, how he thinks of the black players who played for him for decades.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Well, someone must have really gotten in his ear or his ass, I don't know, and changed his perspective on this issue, because finally he gave an interview where he seems to have changed his mind.
They volunteered to wear the uniform of this country. They volunteered to risk their lives for this country. Why do they deserve to be punished?
Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia became the latest Democrat to castigate Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville for the hold he has placed on senior military promotions.
What would it take for you to lift your hold on all these nominations?
All they need to do is change it back to where it was.
Tuberville is demanding Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin rescind this memo, authorizing paid leave and transportation costs for service members to travel to states where abortion is legal. So far, Tuberville has blocked more than 250 promotions, some of them to major commands around the world, as well as heads of the armed services.
Aren't you dragging the military into politics?
I want to keep politics out of the military. It is ruining our military.
General C.Q. Brown, President Biden's nominee to become the next chairman of the Joint Chiefs, warned of the consequences this hold could have.
It has an impact, not just for the senior officer, but all their staff and all those below them. And we will lose talent because of those challenges.
But Tuberville says he won't back down. By the end of the year, 650 officers could be held back from promotion. And the senator has also come under fire for recent comments labeling white nationalists simply Americans, remarks he now disavows.
I'm totally against white nationalism. I'm totally against it. It's racist, okay? We don't need that in the military.
So white nationalists are unfit for service?
They should not be in our military.
For CBS Mornings, I'm David Martin at the Pentagon.
So that was fine, but what needed to be interrogated a little bit is what happened, because it's only
Why did you change your mind?
It's only been a few hours.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to get at what was the realization that he had that prompted him to change his mind, or is it just the optics of things, and it was starting to become a problem, and he was being asked about it everywhere he goes, and someone pulled him aside and was like, hey, you need to stop defending white nationalists. It's really not looking good. And so he decided to do a sit-down interview and disavow it without any question about why exactly he's completely changed his perspective.
Yeah, because clearly he had thought about it, and he was giving, I mean, as early Monday or whenever Caitlin Collins' show first aired, that's when this really, really sparked up.
Yeah. And
she played for him audio of him on a podcast or some interview where he was like, people called him white nationalists. I just called him Americans. And then, so he had given it thought. Like, why did you change your mind?
Yes, yeah.
Why all of a sudden now is white nationalism bad?
Right. I would love to know.
When before it wasn't.
Would love to know.
Yeah. Listen, we advocate changing your mind. You should change your mind when new evidence is presented or your understanding of the old evidence changes. But you don't just, I had a change of heart. Yeah. What motivated that? Let's interrogate that.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He's the fucking worst. It is dangerous enough that we have wingnuts like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Paul Gosar and the former Steve King, who are avowed white Christian nationalists. But it's extra dangerous when you have somebody who acts like he's not, yet cozies up to and defends these proto-fucking Nazis, because that's what they are.
Yeah, for sure.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'd love to know what you think. 657-464-7609. Of course, you can email a voice memo from your smartphone to idoubt@dollemore.com.